Hello there and welcome back to another video. Now, thank you ever so much for all of your support this season, for all of your comments, for anyone that has subscribed, liked videos, whatever it might be. Thank you all genuinely, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all so much for all of your support. Yesterday, we saw the end of the season, and obviously we can now look at this with a smile because of how the season actually ended for us. Before we're going to do that, do take care of yourselves. Hope that you guys are doing really well. Hope you're feeling good. And whatever's happening, I hope that you guys are just taking care of yourselves and doing well. Let's go back like 8 weeks, 9 weeks, maybe even 8 or 9 games away. And I think that Liverpool were around 8th position, maybe flirting with 9th a little bit. We were in a position where the likes of Aston Villa, Everton had multiple games in hand on us. Teams also had other teams had games in hand as well that were above us and everything like that. Chelsea were looking so strong under Tuchel. West Ham looked unstoppable. Leicester were going on. They were getting good results as well. They looked uncatchable. All of these teams looked uncatchable. And I remember saying multiple times that top 4 was done, and there was even a point where top 6 looked like it was going to be a really big challenge, and that might not be catchable for what we were doing at that time. The slump that we were in I didn't see where it was going to end. When we were losing consecutive games at home, drawing games that we always felt we should be winning, or we couldn't close out games, as recently as Newcastle, the 1-1, 95th minute equaliser by Joe Willock, I think it was. It just looked so dark. And these were also weekends or weekdays where teams above us or teams in and around us had played games and maybe dropped points, and we're looking like, okay, this is our chance, let's go and take advantage of it against, Newcastle. I can't honestly even remember who the other draw was against. But it just looked like it wasn't going to happen for us, and that we were going to be looking to maybe fight for the Europa League spots. What we've been doing the last couple of weeks to even have been in with a chance of top 4 was very impressive, and for it all to come down to the final day of the season it brought back a little bit of anxiety of the feeling that I had when we were playing Middlesbrough a good couple of years ago, when we hadn't been in the Champions League for a while, and it went down to the final day of the season on that season as well. And if I remember rightly, it was between us and Arsenal, I think. I might be wrong on that one, but we went and won our game 3-0 that day. I remember one goal scorer in particular, Gini Wijnaldum, incredible. I think Coutinho scored a free kick, and it genuinely escapes me who scored the third goal. I've got a feeling it might have been Lallana, but I'm not sure, not 100% sure, can't remember, so I'm not even going to pretend. But 3-0 that day got us into the Champions League 4th spot, which moves us to yesterday. Yesterday was a huge day, massive day, because the work that we'd done beforehand in the previous couple of games, winning against Manchester United 4-2, incredible result for Liverpool, absolutely magnificent. And then I think, did we have a 2-0 against Southampton? Maybe that was before Manchester United, and then we go play Man United, then we go and play West Brom, I think it was. I've actually got to go and look at our matches here, just to make sure. Yeah, we went and played West Brom. Obviously everyone knows about that West Brom game, 2-1. Alisson header, you can't write it. And then we were like, right, one of our toughest games of the season was coming up against Burnley. We get through that 3-0. Bearing in mind, before we played Southampton, as I'm just looking here, we'd had draws against Leeds and draw against Newcastle United. We had a draw against Real Madrid as well, but before that we had a win against Aston Villa. So then it all comes down to Crystal Palace. Now, as it goes, and I'm just going to look at the standings here, as it goes right now, yes, we could have lost against Crystal Palace and still got top 4. But we went out there, and apart from like the early moments in the game where Zaha got in, had a really, really good chance, very, very tight along the byline, and had a really, really good shot that Alisson saved. That was a very good marker for us, but it was also the danger that they were creating. There were so many times Andros Townsend got well in behind. There was a mix-up at the back. Nat Phillips, Reece Williams, one of the two didn't know who was going to go for the ball and who was going to stay, and in the end it was a little bit too late. However, Andros Townsend flashes it just wide of the post, and that was enough for us to say, hey, this isn't good enough. Let's step up our game. We need to step up our game big time, and step it up we did. We started to lay a little bit more control on the game as well. And once we got that control, you felt, all right, let's keep this control, let's keep probing, let's keep that pressure on. And the pressure started to build about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes before half time. And then you're looking at it at 36 minutes. The goal that went in, you could call it a slice of luck. I'm going to call it that these players really, really wanted it. Bobby Firmino and Sadio Mane both going for the ball that comes in off a corner, I think, if I remember rightly. And I'm going to say if I remember rightly a lot. It's just there's a lot of things going on in here, and sometimes my memory is not the clearest that it could be. But we did. Sadio Mane gets his left foot to it in the box, and it slides it in right in front of 10,000 fans at Liverpool. And let me make a quick side note. It was beautiful to hear the fans again. Honest to God, it was beautiful. Like, it got to the point over this last year that I started watching games without commentary and without any sound, because it's not the same. But I made a point of, I'm going to put the sound on, I'm going to put up with Carragher on commentary, because I don't like Carragher on commentary. He can be a club legend all he wants, his commentary is garbage. But the fans, you'll never walk alone before kickoff, just hit different. Like, and we've heard some amazing ones. Probably the standout one that I remember was against Dortmund in the Europa League. That one, I have it in my saved YouTube list, because it's just, if you watch it, it's just powerful. But after not having fans in the ground for so long, and that many fans, 10,000, you guys, honestly, like, I genuinely think the fans made a massive difference to that team. And maybe Klopp is right. Maybe Liverpool do, lean on the fans a lot more than maybe some other teams do, because once we got our control, even before the goal, once we got the control in the game, it was like we were able to enjoy ourselves, really just enjoy ourselves, know that Crystal Palace aren't really going to pose much of a threat. They were missing players. Benteke was out missing. Eze was out missing. Those two guys, Benteke's been brilliant for them recently, and Eze is very, very creative and takes that creative attacking burden off Zaha's shoulders completely. They're able to share it much more. But once we got that goal, you just sort of felt, okay, we've got the goal. Nobody else out of Chelsea and Leicester had scored yet at that point. I don't think so anyway. I might be wrong on that one from what I was tracking. There's a lot to keep up on with all the games kicking off at the same time. Then we come into the second half. And again, just much more control. A lot more control. A lot less activity happening our way, coming at us from Crystal Palace. And then Mo Salah manages to pick out Sadio Mane again. And Mane just stood there. And he stood there. And it wasn't just standing there just like he's He's not doing anything. Mane literally stood there and literally you could tell he's just going, this is going the back of the net. And when he hit it with his left foot, and yes, it took a deflection, and it hit the back of the net for 2-0, all bets were off. I couldn't believe it. And I think by this point, 74 minutes into our game, I think Leicester were either drawing with Tottenham or losing at that point, and Chelsea was still losing against Aston Villa, and we were just like 2-0. I mean, we couldn't have asked for anything better. We couldn't have asked for a better result. Some people might look at the 7-0 that we had against Crystal Palace earlier in the season and said, well, why aren't we doing that? This was about getting the job done. This was about getting the job done. Priority number one. Priority number two, let's get out of here unscathed and see what we can do in terms of the top four. Obviously, we then get to the end of minutes. Gini Wijnaldum came off on the 78th minute, and the reception he got, I just wish it was with the full ground. But what he got from 10,000 fans, absolutely 100% deserved. It's the only sad, somber moment of that game was Gini Wijnaldum leaving the pitch for the last time as a Liverpool player. That's how I understand it anyway, and from his comments after the game as well. We're going to go through all of this sort of stuff, Gini Wijnaldum appreciation sort of stuff, and other things like player of the season, all that sort of stuff. We're going to do that in another video. We're just going to focus on yesterday primarily. But Gini Wijnaldum, absolute legend. Some people saying that Gini Wijnaldum isn't a legend of Liverpool Football Club. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. I don't care what people say. I really don't care what people say. Whether it's recency bias or not, just look at what that man has done for us. What he's brought to us. Let alone, if you just wanted to take one moment, one singular moment, as Doctor Strange would say, one moment. One moment is all it takes. You can't take anything away from his Barcelona performance, scoring 2 goals. Two very, very key goals to get us through that semi-final last year, which then we went on to win the final and win number 6, win the Champions League, and was a very key cog in us winning the Premier League last season, and was Mr. Consistent, genuinely, generally, always available. There's very few players that we've had, especially this season, where they've always been available. The ones that come to mind for me is Salah, Andy Robertson, Gini Wijnaldum. That as constant, as consistent. Probably next to that would be Fabinho, but he did have a spell out with injury as well. Honestly, it cannot be understood. I'll say this to finish on Gini Wijnaldum. I don't think a lot of people that maybe don't rate Gini Wijnaldum that highly, they will recognise what he did when he's not there. That's all I'll say about that one. Now, we then get to the later stages of the game. Jota comes on in the final couple of minutes. Oxlade-Chamberlain comes on for Andy Robertson as well. Basically just to see out the game, see what happens. And then the game finishes. We finished 2-0. And by this point, like I said at the start of the video, just remember at the start of the video, we were in a place of being 8th, 9th in the table. We had teams above us at that point, like Tottenham, like West Ham, Leicester, Chelsea, obviously Manchester United, Man City being 1st and 2nd. We had that to climb. We had 4 or 5 places that we had to climb if we were going to finish in even the 4th position. Because of our result yesterday, because of Chelsea's result and Leicester's result, somehow this Liverpool team has finished in 3rd position with a goal difference of plus 26 on 69 points. We are in 3rd this season. It's quite something. It is quite the turnaround, and anybody I know who my most consistent viewers are. I know I don't get the biggest amount of viewers, but I know who my most consistent viewers are. They will know that I had said that top four was over. From doubters to believers, I got to take a bit of that again. It's been years since we heard that when Jurgen Klopp first walked in the door at Liverpool. Doubters to believers. And I let a little bit of doubt settle in. I'm so happy that this Liverpool team have been able to, turn it around. And people will say you can't celebrate being in a Champions League position. It's not a trophy. It's not winning the league or anything like that. I agree to a point. But from where we were, nobody else would have been able to do it. I would bet. I was going to say I'd bet my bank account. I'd rather bet my life on it, if I'm being honest. I genuinely don't think if you have like a Tottenham, well, Tottenham clearly didn't. Tottenham were above us at one point. They weren't able to get into the top four. West Ham were in the top four. I think Leicester also, they were in the top four. Leicester were in the top four for 31 out of 31 weeks or game weeks out of 38. They were in the top four. Probably one of the most consistent top four members outside of Man City. Last year, Leicester, 35 games out of 38. They were They were in the top four and they fell out on the last day. Same again this year. And I do feel a little bit for Brendan Rodgers and Leicester because for me, Brendan Rodgers, class manager, didn't work out at Liverpool, but he's making a hell of a name for himself right now. Won the FA Cup this season, and it would have been quite something for them to clinch top four, knock Chelsea out, and it would have put loads of pressure on Chelsea going into the Champions League final when they face Man City. It's a shame for Leicester because I felt that Leicester they could have made it worthwhile in the Champions League. I don't know whether they would make it. I mean, they were very competitive when they were last in it. I think they only got knocked out by Atletico Madrid. But as much as I feel like a little bit for Leicester and Brendan Rodgers, I'm just so glad that we got there. I really am, and I don't mean that in such a unlucky guys. Yeah, we got there though. I really don't. I'm blown away that we managed to get into the top four. Yes, we finished without trophies, and yes, we finished without making a title charge, even a challenge against Man City. We have been unfortunate with injuries and such like that, but when Jurgen Klopp came out last year and said, we don't want to defend the title, we want to attack it. And I felt that we were on our way to doing that around Christmas time, and then it completely fell away. Next year, I mean, Trent's already said it, next year we're coming back for trophies. And I like that mentality. Pretty much like half an hour after the final whistle yesterday, he said, we're coming back for trophies next year. And I fully believe whatever happens this summer, which is boosted now in my... Like, don't get me wrong, I love Jurgen Klopp and all of the words that he says. Anything that he says is basically like, oratory velvet. It's awesome, it's excellent. I could listen to Jurgen Klopp read Lord of the Rings. Like, all of it. I would love to listen to it. It'd be fantastic. I hope someone can get him to do that one day, by the way. That'd be ace. However, when he said transfer targets and such like that won't be dictated whether it's Champions League football or not, it is. Every single player that you want to buy generally would be looking for you to have Champions League football. It's a given. It's how it works. It really is how it works. Because say if like us, Chelsea and Leicester are in for the same player, well, Leicester probably won't get that player. It's between Liverpool and Chelsea, and then it's where does that player want to go? Why? Because it's Champions League football. It changes things just a little bit. But yeah, that's all I've got for now. Like, it has been an exhausting season. It's been a very, what do they call it? A truncated season where everything has been just, it's football, 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 football. And it's great in some ways. It's not in some others. I'm looking forward to, hopefully, fingers crossed, that this next season will be like a regular season where not everything feels rushed. There's other things that we can look forward to, you know, for next season as well. The return of Virgil van Dijk, who's not going to, he's voluntarily stepped out of the Euros and said that he's not going. He's going to continue his rehabilitation. Joe Gomez to come back, Joel Matip to come back, and whatever happens with Matip. Whether we make a decision on Kabak, then it's going to be transfer targets and all that sort of business. And before you know it, 21-2022 season will be starting, honestly. I know we've got the Euros before that, but man, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible, honestly. But massive, massive thanks go to the team over the last couple of weeks. They've really put it together, got us into the top four. Now let's go again. We'll go again next season. How about that? Anyway, thank you ever so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do like it and subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you for all of your support this season. Let me know what you let me know who your like player of the season and moment of the season and stuff like that have been this season, because I think that's really quite something that we can get into in another video this week. We'll continue doing some Liverpool-based things as well as this summer rolls on, and then we'll also be doing some Euros coverage as well. So hey, feel free to lock in, subscribe and that if you'd like to. But for now, do take care of yourselves. Have a great day, have a great week, and I'll catch you later.